Welcome to BASA Connects for the week of April 19th. My name is Ernie Morse. I'm with the Business Association of San Antonio with my co-host,
Jen Bonomo with the Business Association of San Antonio.
Awesome. So back here, this is, I guess, are we going to call this week one? Last week was kind of the intro with the new format and that kind of thing. So is this week one?
I think so. Week one of the new season.
There we go.
Perfect. I'm loving this.
All right. So what did we do in week one?
Wow. What didn't we do in week one?
We usually talk about it before we start talking live.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, week one was we were at Burger King for our BASA mixer on Tuesday morning at 7:30, right?
Yes, the Burger King on Evans and Bulverde. St. Just owns it. And he was so generous and opened the doors for us so that we could network inside and see what they've got going on and try the menu. And how much fun was that? You just get to go through the line and order what you wanted.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
Well, and it was really neat that we had the whole place to ourselves.
Absolutely.
It really was. And hopefully, because there may be some ambient noise in the background, but I got Robes on camera a little bit after the event, so hopefully we'll be able to use that. But he's just such an accommodating host, and you wouldn't think normally of having a networking event at Burger King.
That's true.
But his restaurants are so clean, so well maintained. The food is so fresh. It's really a neat place to have it. And then you compound that with the fact that we've got it to ourselves that morning, and it really, really works out well. And he's an accommodating guy.
Well, and not just him, his staff is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a great management team. He's got wonderful workers. Everybody was just so welcoming and inviting, and they decorated it for us.
They did.
And it was just really neat to be able to feature, a different style of networking for a breakfast. And, like you said, when you have the whole restaurant to yourself, it's kind of neat to be able to do that. But of course they were open after, and folks were, strolling in a little bit and ordering off the menu, as well as the drive-through going crazy. So, right. I think sometimes when it comes to networking, people forget those kind of locations. And, our group is such a big supporter of members supporting members that, they love going to those locations and seeing them in a different light.
Well, and the neat thing about showing up there is that Robes owns, I think it's 14 Burger Kings now. I think was the number he gave us. So he is busy all over the place, and there are a lot of times, I mean, he's been a great member, but a lot of times he just doesn't have time to come to events.
Right.
But whenever we're at his place, he's there. I mean, he's bussing tables.
He was.
And so it gives our members an opportunity to interact with him as a business owner. That just because of his schedule, a lot of times they don't have a chance to.
Right.
And he's a super accommodating guy. There's always something to me about people who are very successful and yet are very humble.
Right.
And if 5 minutes with that man, and that comes out.
Absolutely. He's just, I've been very fortunate to work with Robes over many years, in different avenues of marketing and advertising. And, he's just one of those guys that you just want to see him kick butt and take names, you know, and just do so well. And he does. He does. His style is just different. And it's so, you can just see it. And, it's within him, his family, his friends, his business. I mean, he's really good at what he does. There's no doubt. So we're very fortunate to have him as a member. And, he may not be at every event, like you said, but when needed, he is there. Yep,
absolutely.
and supports the networking and supports what we do and our style. So,
Yeah, I tell you,
I can talk about him and his crew all day. They're just awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, you show up at a restaurant at 7:00 in the morning, and everybody's got a smile on their face, and they're putting balloons out. My smile wasn't there yet.
I didn't even know that my eyes were open.
I don't think they were.
We haven't done one of those in a while. Those early breakfasts. Woo.
Yeah, fortunately, it was closed for you because you could drive over there half asleep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
or it just goes on automatic.
great event, and hadn't had a breakfast, I guess, in a while, so that was a nice thing too.
Absolutely.
And just really enjoyed that. And then,
well, and even bragging on Robes, I mean, we had great businesses attend. Some great networking came out of it. Some of the BASA changes and cool things that are happening within our organization was talked about, which, we'll talk about probably over the next month, including the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and people were sticking around and sticking around and sticking around. Yep. I mean, even when we left, there were some meetings at tables.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting to see that.
There was business being done, and we got a lot accomplished in terms of looking at some new members in terms of in leadership positions for the coming year. A couple of people that we're really excited about to start moving into some different positions and helping us a little bit more with the organization. So that was really awesome. We accomplished a lot.
We did.
Really accomplished a lot
excited.
On Tuesday morning.
Now, if I can just sit in front of my computer and get the information.
Yep. There we go.
It's been one of those weeks of good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Wednesday, I ended up at, actually, Tuesday, I was going to say, actually, right after that, we ended up over at First Watch on Santera with another networking group that we were invited to.
You were invited.
Oh, that's right. I was invited, and you were just
I invited myself. Yeah, no, I invited myself, and just
Ernie just
kind of tagged along.
You just couldn't stand.
But they didn't. They knew me, and they didn't throw me out. So I considered that to be because
Well, you have visited them in the past.
Well, but you never know who I might have offended. So
that's true because they did not invite you back. They invited me instead. Now that you say that,
exactly.
But they also know, if you invite Jen, you kind of invite Ernie. Yeah, and if you invite Ernie, Jen may show up too. That is kind of the duo package that happens. But no, great networking there too. I hadn't seen this type of group in a while. And,
bold networking.
Yeah, it's bold networking. And it is kind of a franchise, I guess, in a sense. Yeah. If I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Similar to what I felt was similar to a BNI style. In the sense that they kind of keep it categorized, one per person kind of thing. But a lot of coaching going on. So I thought that was kind of a neat twist that made it a little different. I mean, everybody got to go around the table and talk about what they do, which was kind of neat. And then, but then you have a coaching series. So it was kind of neat to see the different topics that they were talking about. And this one was kind of parenting, which I thought was kind of interesting.
It was sales focused, and incorporating the principles of parenting into your sales calls, which we'll get into a lot more sales on this podcast than what we have in the past as we move forward. But I thought they talked a lot about a consultative sales process and that sort of thing, and just how you assume the role of the parent. But how did you get there?
Yeah, exactly.
Which was really an interesting topic because you probably spend 2 hours on it pretty easily.
Oh, no doubt.
So,
well, you never think about it. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I had never thought about it, but yeah, there are certain calls or certain conversations you have, and it's kind of like, oh, well, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and then you have that one topic. And you're like, you really need to do this for your business,
Right.
And so I kind of do that, but I never really looked at it from that perspective. Yeah. So it was a good learning for me. I was kind of excited about it.
Well, and you can always take something out of that in terms of tweaking the style that you use to do things. Jay Franklin from Allstate Insurance, who's of course got to be a salesperson, led that particular discussion.
Right. Right.
And and did a nice job with it. And then I think Mason Colvin, I guess it was his week to talk about his business,
right,
and what he did, which is he sells the group health plans. So you had those two things going, and then what I think is interesting, and I thought this the first time, and I kind of forgotten about it, is everybody goes around the table and says something that they're thankful for.
Yeah.
So
that kind of threw me.
There is, you found something to be thankful for, didn't you?
Well, absolutely. But I'm saying it threw me because you're right. You don't really see that very often.
Well, you got to go at the end, so you got to think about it.
I know, thank God. Yeah. Thank God I was at the end because I thought, let me think this through a little bit. Well, I have so much to be thankful for, but it's like, what is the appropriate thing to say at this particular situation? So
Right. And they did a good job with the format, but you can, if you're interested in going to Bold Networking, they'll be meeting again on Tuesday at 11:30, and that's the First Watch over on Santera. Need more information about the group, give Jay Franklin a call. He can be reached at 317-694-9960. So Jay said, talked to him a little bit earlier, and he said, yeah, if you guys are going to talk about it, just let them know to reach out to me if it's something they'd be interested in. It's a good group. Had about what we say, the 12, 15 people there?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. The other thing, too, is this will be, I'm sure we'll have this on the monitor later in the on the taping, so that a 317 number is going to throw people off. Maybe. But we'll make sure we post it up there for you, so you can get it.
We'll get that posted as well. But anyway, I just thought I like the fact that the group has grown since I went last.
Oh, good.
And they're very much into supporting one another. I mean, you saw the same thing that we talked about after our event, people hanging around afterwards, talking about ways that they could help one another. You had some new businesses, you had some more established businesses. So it's a good mix, a lot of fun. And it was, we appreciate Jay having us out there.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of photos that I think we put on our Facebook page too. Like I was able to click a few before everybody ran out the door because we were talking to other people, so I was able to post a few photos. So, and we've got some
video with Jay as well.
Oh, good.
We're gonna be able to show.
Awesome.
So that'll work out really well. And then what else?
Then we were walking out to the parking lot, and us being us, decided to go scope out a restaurant that was in the area, which was kind of fun. And while we were there looking at it for other reasons, we walked by some folks that were a networking group there at the restaurant, and they overheard our conversation and jumped into it and passed on business cards. And next thing you know, we discovered a new networking group that I didn't even know was around. But how exciting.
Well, I think we're going to get some more information on them. As it turns out, the guy who runs it, I knew him from years ago.
Yeah, how cool was that?
Which was a lot of fun. It's just being out.
Right.
It's just who do you run into?
Right. It was such a beautiful day.
Making conversation with people, and I mean, it goes back to this market. This is a friendly place.
Right.
We're sitting there at the door, and you're asking the manager about having a networking event there, and some people are just walking by. Hey, we just came from a networking event.
Quit telling our secrets, Ernie.
Yeah. You know.
You've got to stop telling our secrets.
That's not a secret.
It is a secret. Nobody knew what we were doing there. We could have been having lunch.
Well, we had just eaten, and
we ate all day. We went to 3 different networking events and restaurants.
That's
of course
we did. That's why we're doing from the chest up.
Exactly.
Here. So anyway, but yeah, that was neat.
Mm-hmm. No, it was really cool.
So hopefully we'll be able to talk more about that group as we move forward. I request some information from them, and hopefully they'll have us out as well. Well,
they were so willing. I loved the fact that lady walked by and heard us talk about networking and was like, "Wait a minute, networking," and passed on her card.
Yeah.
How cool was that? Yep. She needs to be a part of our group just for that. That was awesome. But yes, I can't wait to hear more about them and maybe even go to one of their events. Yeah. He seemed pretty open-minded to that and receptive. So. So more to come.
All right. And then
I actually stopped by a couple of our members' locations. I know you had a follow-up meeting, so you were gone. But I just ran over and just happened to be down the road from some of our current members and members that are struggling with staffing. So I wanted to pop in and say hi, and I did that, and that was kind of fun. And then headed back to the office and continued that evening. So it was just one of those days. Tuesday was one of those days. Then up early Wednesday, and I was in Helotes for their morning mingle. And this morning mingle was at the Chick-fil-A on Bandera in 1604. Okay. A lighter turnout for them. But then when we all started chatting, we realized it's Easter weekend.
Sure it is.
And a lot of the schools were out in that area, which I thought was interesting. I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
So still a great turnout. I mean, it was 20 or 30 people, but not their norm.
Yeah.
But it was really neat to, again, another great operator for Chick-fil-A, good owner. He was there serving, being able to see and mix and mingle. And it gives them the opportunity on those days that, like him, they're so busy, you can't really get out there to those networking events. So he sat down with us and chit-chatted and briefed us on some of the things coming up in their area. And
did you get any more of the tortilla soup?
Oh, no, I didn't get tortilla soup this time.
They have good,
They do have good tortilla soup. But I was asking the question, which I thought was kind of interesting, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but we'll talk about it a little bit. I saw on social media that one of the Chick-fil-A's in town did chicken on a stick.
Really? Okay.
During Fiesta, and I thought, how cool is that? So I told him, I'm like, that was so cool. And he goes, oops, that was just one operator who did it. Because we weren't able to do it. And I said, oh man, I'm so sorry, but what a great idea.
Yeah.
You are chicken.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool if you can do that during Fiesta. So we got to talk about a little of that. He did tell me there's some new items coming on the menu. I got to see the pictures, but it's not in this market yet. And I'm excited to try what those are. So hopefully we get them in our market soon. But again, that Bandera location, you watch the cars come through that drive-through and his staffing and marketing group. I mean, they're on it. I was watching. I was amazed how strategic they were and in and out. And I mean, they've got a plan and they execute amazingly.
Yeah,
Richard's got them.
Really,
he's got a great group.
Yeah, as busy as that strip center is,
yeah.
They've got to be organized and efficient in the way they go about that.
Oh, so. No doubt. And he was telling me too, he's a sponsor of Courtneyville.
Oh, there we go.
So we're going to be headed out there too.
Yeah.
So you can see them out there, and they'll be having some sandwiches and all that good stuff. So
and then did you chunk some axes last night?
Well, yeah, I know. I had a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Then after that, we went over to the Axe Masters Throwing and did a ribbon cutting with Whole Lotus Chamber. And we had, as BASA, already been there.
Yeah.
So that I was kind of familiar with what it is. But, theirs is pretty cool because they do it digitally.
Yeah.
So you get to,
scoring
not
system.
The axe throwing, but they have different games. So like you have something, for people who play darts, they have like a cricket game, and then you can throw axes at zombies.
Yeah.
And man, the chamber was having a ball with that, and they've got photo opportunities. But the part that was new and intriguing to me that I hadn't seen, and Boss will be out there, next week, doing a ribbon cutting for that. But they do spin art. And he was saying they're like one of the few places in the West that offer this. So you can go in there and get a canvas and pick your colors, and they spin it, and you can make all this really cool pictures. And actually, I'll put some of the pictures on our BASA Connects page because I took some to show kind of what they do. But you can do it on T-shirts, you can do it on canvases, you can do it on backpacks. They have it everywhere. And then, we know Peter, and he's great. And he's also got all the mobile stuff.
Yep.
Photo, he's got a mobile axe throwing, and they've got the photo booth.
He's got a mobile escape room, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got a mobile escape room. Yeah. So he's not just, brick and mortar. He's also can bring it to you. So Peter and his team over there are amazing as well.
Yeah.
And they had a great spread, and it was just awesome. So we cut the ribbon there with a Whole Lotus Chamber, and then we're here today. So lots going on.
Finally made it.
We did. We survived.
All right.
I think.
Well, good deal.
I think we survived.
So the topic for this week is, and it kind of came to me after being at the Bold Networking event. Let's talk about a little bit how networking has evolved through the years.
Wow.
And the reason that this occurred to me is we were out there, and Jay Franklin is an Allstate agent, and he's from I want to say it's Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. He moved here probably 3-4 years ago or something like that. You're gonna launch an insurance agency. You're gonna have to have a network,
right?
So he immediately started joining multiple groups, and continues to do that. And he was able to build his relationships that way.
Right.
But that's a source that wasn't available. And the reason it occurred to me is my father started an insurance agency in the 1960s. He built his network by knocking on people's doors.
Right.
In Houston, Texas, in a coat and tie in the middle of the summer. So
you're not going to see that these days, the coat and tie part.
Well,
you may see people knocking on doors, but they're not wearing a coat and tie in the middle of summer for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, just think if you had to do something like that nowadays, but look at all that's available. I mean, the chambers of commerce started, and it really became prevalent here in, I believe, around the 1950s and that sort of thing.
Right.
And shortly thereafter, you've got the different groups, the BNIs and what have you. But how many resources are available to people today?
Well, yeah, no doubt. Well, I think about like when we started in our sales days, I think my networking was the white pages, the yellow pages, and knocking on doors.
Yes.
And we just started the cold calling factor.
Yeah.
And then it was, you would go to training sessions, or you would go to business events It was more events, like grassroots, you know, and you would collect names and hope that they would fill out the piece of paper and put it into the fishbowl, so to speak. To, like you said, now, I mean, just on one Tuesday, we were back-to-back networking groups that were totally different.
Right.
And different, you know, philosophies and different styles and different targets. So, yeah, it really has. It has changed quite a bit. And the styles have changed.
Yeah, and just the options that are available to people, because like you said, I mean, we went to back-to-back events and then walked across the street and there was another event. So they're all over the place now. So you really, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And at Bold Networking, one of the individuals that had visited some of our events came up to me and he pulled out another networking group and he's like, "What do you think of this one?" And I didn't have a great deal of knowledge about it, but my point was this: try it.
Right, right.
Give it a shot. See if it works for you, because you're going to go to different places. Like you said, they employed some BNI principles at Bold Networking, but they were a little bit looser than and not quite as structured as you would see at a BNI. So there are a lot of opportunities to find exactly what's right for you.
Oh, no doubt. Well, you know, it's kind of like what we always talk about. You know, our BASA philosophy is you should network everywhere, and you like to do business with people, you know, you have relationships with and that you like. But, you know, everybody's style is different. You know, some people are more about structure. And if you give me structure and put me at a desk for more than an hour, I'm like climbing walls, you know. But other people really like that. You and I always laugh, you know, about ourselves because you love the CRMs and I want to throw the computer. You know?
Oh yeah, that's how I stay organized.
Well, and that's my point. And my organization is an old school calendar that every young person today looks at me and says, "Will you please put it on your phone?" Including my own child. And I'm like, if I put it on my phone, it won't happen. I promise it will not happen. So, you know, just like we all have our different ways of what works and what flows with us, you know, those networking styles are going to be that. And I know the gentleman that asked you about that specific group, younger guy, you know, who knows, maybe that'll be a great resource for him or maybe he, you know, shies away, but you're not going to know unless you try. Right.
And our group has been appealing to him as well because it's a little less structured and funny. We bring this up. You and I talked about this earlier in the week. I guess it was yesterday, right after our Tuesday event, one of our members called and was apologetic.
Right.
What are you apologizing for? Well, I didn't realize that the time for networking was going to be after Jen talked about the changes that are coming within BASA.
Right.
And I was going around from table to table when we were still eating breakfast.
Right.
I'm like, good for you.
We want you to do
good
that.
Good for you. If we have an event where that many people are sitting down, it's pretty unusual anyway.
Right.
So if you're taking it upon yourself to go introduce yourself to other people, more power to you.
No doubt. And I felt so bad for them because I watched their food come out and it was sitting on the table and I was like, hey, you want to go grab your food? Because I was thinking more on the lines of, I don't want the food to get cold and you know, you don't eat it. And so, but she, you know, they were having a good old time and great conversation. So it's just funny. You just never know.
But point being is our group is informal. I mean,
absolutely.
She probably had a background going to groups that were more structured.
Correct.
This is what you do and when you do it, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not us.
Right.
So I was like, go. If we need to rein you in, which is going to mean you're going to pretty much be running around the restaurant with your hair on fire, then we'll douse you with water or something, you know?
Absolutely.
But go and push and network. And if we've got to get something done, then we'll, you know, we'll tell you then. But I found that to be really, really interesting that she had been to those sorts of things. But it illustrates the point. A lot of different groups, a lot of different organizations. We'll talk about our old friend Mike with SA Business Calendar. Go pull up an event that works for you. Pull up different events and find out what works for you.
Absolutely. And the other part of it too, we've learned, especially over these past 2 years, timing's a factor.
Yeah.
You know, we have that group that's only going to come to breakfast.
Yeah.
We have that group that comes to lunch. We have that group that's you're going to see at the happy hour. And then we have that one group that's everywhere.
Yeah.
They're going to go to any of them depending on what their day looks like. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's always a factor in it as well. You know, have that diversity and find those different groups that fit within what your schedule is.
Yep.
Just keep networking.
Yep. And we're seeing splinter groups now that are kind of breaking off. They're looking for things that are more specific. I know we've got one group that we're hoping to talk to that really they want business owners there.
Correct.
And so that's another option. So like I said, there are just all sorts of things to look at and choose from.
Well, you're always going to have those groups too that are niched because it makes sense. Some of these businesses, unless you can figure out how to maneuver it and figure, you know, some people just want realtors.
Right.
You know, because maybe they're a service industry and they're the ones that, you know, will call them for that.
Yeah.
Others just want doctors or medical because, you know, of what they offer.
Right.
And so you never know how you work. And that's what's, you know, so important when it comes to that first initial meeting. And we have a great team that does that. And we'll call our members and go, okay, what are you really looking for?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way we can make sure we're accommodating as much as we can on connecting them with the right groups. And sometimes we just had this happen to us or happen to me a couple weeks ago. I have contacts in one group and I have contacts in another group, but these two can definitely do business together.
Right.
And they're niched. I mean, they're like really niche. So I put them together and they had lunch. And to my understanding, having some good success has come from it. And that's only been a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't be afraid to share that.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Right.
You know, we connect businesses that can do business together.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's been interesting. And, you know, with that evolution is definitely interesting. When you said that yesterday, it made me go back and think. And I thought, God, some of the stuff I've done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or didn't do for that matter because I didn't want to do it at 100-degree weather.
When you said the yellow page thing,
Right.
I hated that. I hated making all those phone calls.
Yeah.
And you know, trying to get through the gatekeeper. I'd rather just go. I'd rather go bang on somebody's door.
And see, I did mind it because it was fun getting to know the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Those were my challenges. I thought that was the coolest thing is like, if I can get past this gatekeeper, it's gone. It's good. I'm selling.
Yeah. I just sitting in that room where everybody's making these phone calls, and I hated that. I truly could not stand it. But like you said, some people, I mean,
being on the phone, it was always fun to me.
Yeah.
And then you get too many no's, and then you're like, all right, I got to push away. And then I would get out of the office. But then there were the days you got a bunch of yeses, and you were like, yes, we're going to keep this going.
Right.
It's on.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But
Very cool.
Okay, well, there's that, and I guess our question of the week came from Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay.
And what he asked is, what is it like to have to always be on at networking events?
Huh.
And it made me think, and I'll put it to you.
Oh.
'Cause, I mean, we run. There are times, especially at the breakfast for you and I, where we'll call one another on the way out there, and oh gosh,
here we go.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Or whatever the case may be. But you always manage to flip that switch whenever the time comes. But I didn't ever really think of it that way.
I hadn't either, but I can see where they say that.
Yeah.
I just, like you, I never really thought of that.
Yeah.
But there are days I will say that I won't go out to eat, or I won't in certain areas of town, or I won't go to certain restaurants or something because I know I'm going to run into some people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want to eat.
Right.
Or sometimes you just want to, you know, you look like a train wreck and you don't want to have to go put your face on and get dressed up to go to certain places, you know? But I never, again, I that's just how I felt. I never really looked at it as being on. But yeah, you do kind of have to be on your game.
Well, sure. I mean,
you know?
we're walking in here, and if we're not in the best mood before we start the podcast,
right?
I mean, Nick kicks us in the butt a little bit and fires us up, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's got to be done one way or another,
right?
So it's got to happen. But I never really thought of it that way because it seems to happen organically. I mean, once you realize once people start walking into a venue,
right.
then your energy just kind of takes over, and it's like something clicks, and you realize this is why we're here, and the reason that we do what we do. And the same thing when we walk in here in the morning.
Right. Now, I do know you and I have had conversations, not recently, but in the past where it's like, you know what, I am not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
It was a long night, or I'm just kind of feeling sluggish, or whatever the case is.
I didn't have the long night. I think that was your thing. Okay, go ahead.
Good try. Ernie goes to bed at like 7, so you have to call Ernie before 7. But no, like we had a late networking event the night before, and then getting up the next morning, or whatever the case scenario is, and it's like, today, can you just take the lead on this one? Yeah. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then the other one ends up getting fired up, because there's always great news that comes out of those events. Somebody will tell you, hey, I got to talk to so-and-so and we were able to do business together,
right.
Or you get that invitation to something, and you always get yourself pulled out of it. But that initial part of it,
right.
You're just like, I talked for 4 hours last night. Can you just start it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of times that's that's like the game where you were dog tired and you had that last at bat. You couldn't swing the bat very hard, but
right.
But the ball just bounced. I don't even know if that's a good analogy. Never mind.
Well, you could say that, but then you bunted.
Yeah. Well, not if you had my foot speed. You never bunted. But
no doubt.
But really, a lot of times when you're not in that role and you're kind of sitting back, some of the times that's when you get your best information just by listening.
Oh, very good point.
There are a lot of times. I think you were talking when you were talking at Burger King this week. There was a certain point. There was one part of the presentation that I really wanted to gauge certain members' reactions. And I told you afterwards,
right.
So and so was given.
Yeah.
Doing this.
Yeah.
So it really works to be, maybe I wasn't on then with the speaking,
right.
But at the same time, just the attention to that detail that it's hard to keep track of whenever you're up there doing the presenting.
Right. Well, the other part of it too is sometimes the members are going to definitely let you know, because there was one thing we talked about and we got high fives.
Yeah.
They were high-fiving each other all over the place. So I guess that change is going to be a positive. We weren't sure, but now we know. We weren't sure which direction that was going to go.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's there is a strategy that's behind it, and there is a mindset that goes with it. I just had never thought about it. And now it makes me even wonder, even the attendees probably have that same mindset. Yeah. Like, is this an event that I want to go to because I'm going to have to be on my game? Or is it more of like a panel where I don't really have to talk and I can just kind of listen at luncheon?
Right.
So maybe I'll go to that one today because I'm really just not there. I know I need to do something.
Right.
But, finding that one for that day, depending on what you've got going on with internally.
Right. Right.
Because I've had that happen too. It's like, I'm not trying to go and do that happy hour mixer, but there's a lunch and it's got a good panel and the chamber's got it going on. Maybe I'll go sit at that one.
Yep. Between the two of us, we don't really have an option. I think that's what he was getting at. And I just never really thought of it that way. And the other thing that I find that now is that there's a more relaxed atmosphere as we're getting to know folks, and a lot of these people are. I was like, "You're my friend. I don't have to be on.
Right,
when I'm
all
around
the time.
you."
Yeah.
So it's interesting question.
Right.
And it's when you talk to people, some of the things they ask you, they just make you think and analyze things a little bit more than what you normally would.
Well, and the other part too to look at it, and this is something that I catch myself with a lot, is when you're passionate about what you do. Mm-hmm. You're really not, it's your day to day. It's not really a job anymore. It's not, and I guess that's why I've never really thought of it that way, because it's kind of like, this is what we do. And it's so exciting to see these businesses connect, and so exciting to hear their stories, and really pumped when they have an obstacle or a challenge and we're able to fix that. Or at least contribute to it to make it a little bit easier, know? So I never really thought of it in that direction. But now, Mr. Rodriguez, I will.
There you go.
Now I will,
He made Jen think. Okay.
Yeah, made me really think that one through a little bit. You surprised me with some of these. Sometimes I get to know in advance, and some of them really, make you
Yeah.
sit back on them.
Yeah. You never know.
You don't. So, what do we got going on next?
What do we got coming up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. Do you know? Usually you're the one with the notepad that writes everything down.
I did write some notes down.
I knew it.
And but you're the one who remembers our dates better than I do.
All right, let's try it. You start and I'll fill in.
Again, we were at Bold Networking. They're going to be meeting on Tuesday at 11:30.
Okay.
At First Watch Sunterra.
Well, don't forget Monday.
Monday is our Better Your Business series.
Absolutely.
We're coming out on Tuesday. So we'll come out a little bit afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it last week.
That's
but it's worth
right.
mentioning again. Every other Monday, we're having a Better Your Business series
There you go.
with BASA. So the next Monday that people could attend as they're watching this will be at Anne Marie's.
Correct. Correct.
And that's
valid point. I got to remember that.
Yeah, we're getting a little used to the new format, the new scheduling, and that kind of thing. So
let's just be honest. Jen was not thinking.
I'm too diplomatic to say that.
That's okay. I'll let you slide.
So let's see. I've got the 27th on Wednesday, the 27th, pickleball happy hour mixer at Chicken and Pickle for the Helotes Chamber, right?
Correct. From 5 to 7.
5 to 7. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Corneyval VIP experience is on Friday, April 29th, also with Helotes Chamber.
No.
No,
it's on. Oh, it is Friday night, not the next day though. You said the next day, Friday night.
Oh, did I say the next day, Friday?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what threw me off. Actually, the next day.
If you'll just not think about what I say so much as think about what I mean.
Well, usually in a different format, I can get away with that. But when we're being taped and Nick can put this in there, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I can't hide you. I can't cover it up. But I will say that Thursday, Helotes also has an event for lunch. And it's called the State of the City. Yeah. There you go. I'm sorry. This one, I didn't look at the flyer. But their mayor's going to be speaking at a luncheon.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And it's at Flores Country Store.
Oh, okay.
And so, if you're kind of interested in seeing what's going on in the Helotes area, it would be a great luncheon to attend. And I know you can sign up for it on the website. Okay. So they've got back-to-back going on themselves just based on what the city's doing and what they're doing.
Okay.
And then they do have their VIP experience at Corneyval on that Friday.
Okay.
And then that's where you can network, and then you get to watch a concert with Kinfo. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a secret. I think Kinfo is going to come out and network with them.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be kind of fun too. And all that's on their website.
Okay, good deal. And then we've got Peter's ribbon cutting.
We do
BASA,
at the
right?
Spin Art place.
Right.
Yes, and we will have those details on our websites because the time is the only thing I'm concerned about.
Okay.
Because it'll run us into one of our events.
Once again, and check our website for that because we want to. When there's an opportunity to get out to a ribbon cutting, I know you love it. It's a great idea. You get to meet business owners out there, and
the business
typically
owner
there's no
cuts
cost
the ribbon.
to it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then don't forget ours. Hello, we have one more mixer coming up. You forgot it.
I think you're a week ahead.
Well, you went all the way to the 29th, so I assume you would want to talk about it.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's going to be, so that will
this
be
is hilarious. Where's Mike? This is what he was better at.
Usually he's hiding in the corner, but we can't even blame him. We can't even make fun of him for that
I know.
anymore.
Well, usually he has his computer, so maybe that's what we need to do is bring the computer.
Yeah. So that would be the 26th then.
The
Tuesday
19th.
the 26th.
The 19th.
That is this coming Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. It's the day we are released. We have a happy hour mixer at what used to be Wise Guys.
Okay.
But it is now, Chicago, Philly. Mm-hmm. New owner. We're cutting a ribbon. We get to sample some of the menu from 5 to 7. And it is right there off of Nakoma and West Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, you took us all the way to the end of the month. So we might as well not forget our people.
I actually had my dates mixed up on that one.
See?
I did have my dates mixed up on that one.
See, there you go.
Okay, so I need to check my calendar.
Yeah, because the last Tuesday of the month we're on the south side with our breakfast club.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We've got too many chapters going on there, Ernie.
Yeah.
As you can see, we will have the events in check for the next episode. But this time, we've told you so much that you need to go to businessassociationsa.com, look at the calendar, go to the Helotes Chamber their website and check out the calendar, and then go to SA Business Calendar and check out everybody else's stuff.
There you go.
Because we are all over the place.
There you go.
But you know what? Expect nothing less from us.
The ghost of Mike. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and we're just not structured. Let's just be honest. Which is why people like our style. Especially now. If they don't come to the event, we know they went together.
Maybe not.
And last but not least, we want to give a big shout out to Game Day Media.
Yes, because now, thanks to Game Day, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Roku.
Isn't that crazy?
So yeah. So we're all over the place now.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we are. So we're real happy with what we're doing with the podcast, and you'll see some other changes coming up. We'll see some different businesses featured on here, and that's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
So we're excited about that.
All right. Well, in the infamous words of Mike Espinosa,
have an eventful week.
Bye.